from the studios of 4 New York in Rockefeller Plaza, you are watching Mike Up, the Francesa Sports Final, presented by ChevyOffers.com. Now, here is your host, Bruce Beck.
Welcome back. Iconic Yankee Stadium, the house that Ruth built, 1923 to 2008. Memories and legacies. We all have games we remember, but for our next guest, it's not about a moment, it's about an era, a time of innocence. Les Marshak is the voice of the Today Show on NBC. For many years, he was the voice of NBC Sports, Macy's, the Tony Awards, and thousands of other shows, commercials, and promos. Though you certainly know his sound, you might not know his face. That will change quickly in our next piece, as Les takes us back to the Yankee Stadium he knew as a kid by sharing some vintage home movies never before seen.
We grew up in the shadows of the stadium. The Yankees, they were all we knew. We'd pretend we were just like the Mick. We'd pretend we were just like Whitey Ford. When they won, we won. It was a glorious time to live in the Bronx. And the world could be yours, all for $1 and a seat in those famous bleachers.
I'm sitting here like between two centuries, two different eras, the old and the new. I have great memories of this arena. What I remember most are the aromas, the smell of cigar smoke, not quality cigar smoke, just ordinary, everyday cigar smoke. Hot dogs, mustard, and beer, all fused together in one boiling pot. That's the old Yankee Stadium. The seats were a little rickety, the bathrooms were a little old, but it didn't matter because what you were watching was a great ball game, no matter what.
The year was 1954. I had just turned 14. My folks bought me an 8mm Bell & Howell movie camera. I would shoot family gatherings and special occasions, sort of the keeper of family records. And then, the next year in 1955, I decided to take that camera to the stadium. Who knew what I would get? Perhaps something I would always cherish.
Where I'm walking now, this is the south side of the ballpark, and this was a street. Traffic would go by. This is where the press gate was. Right here, I would get some pretty good shots of the players coming out. One of my favorite shots was when Mickey Mantle and Billy Martin, Billy with a big cigar, two-shot. They walked out together, had no time for any fans. I don't know where they were headed, but they were hustled right into somebody's car. They couldn't sign autographs, so what they did was open the car window and encourage people to throw postcards, self-addressed postcards. And they would tell the fans, we'll send them back, and they did. To be a kid in the shadows of Yankee Stadium and to be a baseball fan was like unlike anything you could imagine. I had a fantasy I was Mel Allen doing the play-by-play, and also the director. So I was a cameraman, and I had this great joy taking my Bell & Howell and getting this incredible shot of first base. The entire neighborhood was Yankee-driven from April through October every year.
We lived just 7 blocks from the stadium, close enough that on the day of the game, you'd be able to hear Bob Shepard, yep, that Bob Shepard, loud and clear over the PA system all over the neighborhood. It was just another apartment building in the Bronx, but 175 East 151st Street meant something more to all of us who lived there.
A stoop. This is what we called a stoop. We all used to sit at the stoop at night, and during Yankee games, if you were lucky enough, you got a chance to see Joe DiMaggio, actually. I was about 8 years old back then when I remember seeing some of the players walking up our block to the subway. The neighborhood was galvanized by it. We felt very important. You know, wherever we went, the other boroughs, we were the kings. The Bronx Bombers were the winners year after year. I was not a professional cinematographer. I was a kid in the neighborhood who kind of found a place. And they were all here, and I was like at a candy store watching the greatest players of my life appear before me.
Amazing images from baseball's golden era. And Les Marshak joins us in the studio now to put it all in perspective. Les, did you have goosebumps when you dusted off those films and took a look at what was inside?
It's just an incredible experience. I mean, if somebody had told me the day I went to shoot this that years later this would have a showcase on WNBC, I'd say, yeah, right. So I'm flying high. This is a great moment, and it's happening at an opportune time when the stadium comes down.
You could touch the players when they came out of the press gate. You can't do that today.
Oh, they were so accessible to the fans, and one of the stories I tell, which is pretty amazing, the players would come out, as you saw, and if they didn't have time to sign autographs, they'd go to their car, open the car window, and encourage people to throw self-addressed postcards in, and they would return them.
Postcards? They wouldn't think of doing something like that today.
Yeah, and you know, no bodyguards, no chauffeur-driven limousines. They were just there, going to their cars and driving off.
When you look at these players, it was really almost like royalty in those days, weren't they?
Oh yeah, but I knew I was 14 years old, and I thought to myself, I'm living in real incredible times with the Yankees winning every year. It was like the Gilded Age, and something told me, I got to capture this. I mean, it was a hobby, the Bell and Howell camera and all that, but I wanted to have this because I figured years later, I'm going to want to watch this. I didn't know the whole world's going to be watching this. I'm very happy about that.
I love when you talk about the smell, the beer, the cigar smoke, the aroma, hot dogs, all kind of melding together. Sensory
overload. And to this day, Bruce, you know, if I go into a location where those cigars, somebody's smoking those cigars, I'm back at the stadium as a kid immediately.
And Les, finally, I like when you said, who knew what I would get? Perhaps something I would always cherish. I suspect you do indeed.
I do cherish because I'm not a Steven Spielberg. I was just point and shoot camera. It's cloudy and dull, bright and sunny, that was it. And I shot these guys, nobody chased me away, and we have a wonderful legacy here.
Great to spend some time with you.
Thank you, Bruce.
Shadows of the Stadium. Les, we really thank you for sharing some wonderful footage and stories with us. Still much more to come on Mic'd Up, but first it's time for the Subway Play of the Week. Subway, where you can try the smoked beef brisket sandwich for a limited time only. Let's go back to Friday night in Queens. Mets taking on the Rockies. Bottom of the 8th inning. Score tied at 1, but Damian Easley changes that with a solo blast to spur New York to a 2-1 victory, helping to tighten things up in the NL East. That's the Subway Play of the Week. Subway, eat fresh.